And right now we are going on to boxing. Usyk Dubois is on.
That's the fight which the entire world is waiting for, yes, because Alexander Usyk has proved himself to be the best boxer in the world. This is a guy who came from lightweight, cruiserweight to heavyweight, and he's beaten just about everyone. He beat Tony Bellew, he defeated Anthony Joshua twice, he defeated Tyson Fury twice, and listen, that Ukrainian is unbelievable. You know, his footwork, his ring craft. I mean, he understands the situation very, very well. Now, he's unbeaten, but his victory over Daniel Dubois was quite controversial because Dubois landed what I thought was a legitimate blow to his midriff, and then Usyk went down, and when he went down, I think he was given, the referee gave him time for a low blow. And yet, after watching replays over and over again, I thought that was a legitimate punch. And had it stood, that would have been a knockout and the victory for Dubois. Yeah. Now, Dubois is a guy who has one defeat to his name. That defeat, he suffered it in that controversial loss to Usyk. Of course, eventually Usyk recovered and knocked him out in the 9th. Dubois is holding one of the belts, which Usyk relinquished. Yes. Because Usyk was the first unified heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis from 1999. That's from 25 years ago. Now, for him to regain that belt and become a unified champion again, he must be Dubois. And it's going to be fireworks, because after the manner in which Dubois destroyed Anthony Joshua, showed that this is a new Dubois. The power, the hand speed, and even the chin, because Joshua rocked Daniel Dubois, I think, in the 4th or 5th, before Dubois came back and finished him. So, I mean, it's going to be another exciting bout. Who do I think will win? Probably Usyk. I haven't seen a guy who just moves and knows how to store his energy like Usyk. I mean, Usyk gets better as the rounds go on, and typically most boxers lose their energy towards the mid-rounds because they've exerted themselves in the opening round. So it's going to be a clash of styles, and I'm excited. The other major fight for the year will be on September 12th. Usyk Dubois is in August. The other in September, at the Allegiant Stadium, between Terence Crawford, unbeaten Terence Crawford, the guy who knocked out Errol Spence Jr. He was actually in Uganda early this year on charity. Terence Crawford, one of the best boxers in the world, if not the very best, pound for pound. And he'll be taking on Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, Saul Canelo Alvarez has ruled the middleweight boxing for as long as I can recall. He's beaten each and every one. The only time I think he was beaten, he lost to Floyd Mayweather early in his career. And then he lost recently to Dimitri Bivol. But Bivol is competing at light heavyweight. I thought Canelo was biting more than he could chew by putting on the pounds to take on Bivol. I think Bivol is almost a heavyweight champion. Bivol is competing against people like Bitabiv. So Canelo probably should never have taken that fight. But Terence Crawford and Canelo is going to be unrelenting, non-stop action between two guys who can trade punches in the middle of the ring for 12 rounds, and that is going to be fireworks. So those are two big fights. Daniel Dubois, heavyweight, in August, August 19th, and then September 12th, you have Terence Crawford against Saul Canelo Alvarez, the Mexican superstar.
Have you watched Ben and Hubert?
Yes, I watched Nigel Ben and Conor Ben. I watched Conor Ben and Chris Eubank Jr. Now, a bit of history to this fight. In 1990, Nigel Ben and Chris Eubank, they fought at the Birmingham National Exhibition Center in Birmingham. I was there 2 years ago, and I went there because it was one of the host venues for the Commonwealth Games. Now, I was a kid in 1990, but I remember vividly the date of that fight. Chris Eubank Jr. and Nigel Ben. It was one of the most exciting fights of the time. Those two guys put on a show for the ages. That's the fight. If you can go on your YouTube and feeding Chris Eubank versus Nigel Benn. It was an exciting fight, one of the best boxing fights you'll ever see. Eventually, Chris Eubank prevailed. Now, this fight, which happened 2-3 weeks ago, was a fight between their sons, Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn.
With more jabs than answers, man.
And it was another exciting fight.
Okay.
It was absorbing. It didn't quite live up to the level of the fight involving the fathers, but it was an all-action fight. Eventually, it went to Chris Eubank, because Chris Eubank Jr. is a bigger guy, and I think he had to try and shed off a few pounds, and then Conor Benn had to put on a few kgs. But it was a nice thing seeing the fathers in the rings with their sons and both sides hugging. It was, I mean, it's unbelievable how the grudge match from how many years? 35 years ago. Eventually happened involving the sons so many years later. But on both accounts, the Chris Eubanks prevailed, and but that was through no fault of the Benns. Both Benns, the father Nigel and the son Conor, put up quite worthy challenges, and that is why both fights, the father and the son fight, will be spoken about for the ages.
Wow, that's quite amazing.